2012. In 2012, David graduated with the Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in Digital, Video, and Media Production. After 2 years in the making, the Gray State movie trailer was released to the public on August 7, 2012. A month after its release, David Crowley was interviewed by the Freedom Feens Talk Radio Show. The interview, conducted by Michael W. Dean, came out on September 15, 2012. The Gray State movie trailer cost David Crowley and Mitch Heil $6,000 to make. "That's just out of pocket through our production company," David explained to Michael Dean. "That's just money spent harnessing the actors to our set and getting the props that we needed, but we spent another year in post-production, doing 17-hour days. So how do you put a price tag on that, really?" The story of Gray State continually evolved. "It's gotten deeper," David said of the Gray State story. "It's gotten very much darker. So people, when they see this, their response is, as I knew they would be, they're very divided. First of all, they're very supportive, like, wow, this is like a future scenario that we can face, that we are facing right now unless we wake up. Then what they want to do is they want to assign their responsibility for activism to my project and assume that that's what I want to do, is wake people up with Gray State, when in fact I can't make any such moral distinction because I'm a filmmaker. I'm an artist. What I'm going to do is explore human truths, and I can do so through a pretty messed up context like the Gray State world. But how real or not real it is completely irrelevant. What I'm saying is," David clarified to the host, "people kind of expect me to tell their story, their version of truth with Gray State, and that's not my intent. If it resonates with truth with you, that is great. If it doesn't, that's also great. But what I've been seeing is that the 3% or so who really hate Gray State, they don't hate it because it was shot poorly, or that story could never work and here's why. They hate it because it threatens them. It threatens their reality. And that just tells me that what I'm doing is close to the truth, at least, because they're that threatened by it. I think that the reality that most people live in is almost like a religion. Like if you challenge a Christian or a Muslim who just grew up believing what they believe, they don't know how to defend it logically. What they're going to do is they're going to lash out in a very knee-jerk and negative response to defend their reality. And that's just the nature of humanity, I think. So what I'm seeing is their reaction to Gray State is either very positive or very negative. It is a very polarized argument. David made it clear he was not interested in selling the Gray State project unless it was for serious money. If a studio bought this project, David said to the host, it would just get put on a shelf or be drastically changed from its original message. So in the interest of maintaining creative control, I will not sell the project. However, if it goes nowhere, and someone's offering me $200 million or something awesome like that, who knows? I gotta feed the monkey. But as it stands right now, I want to get this film funded, and I will get it made for whatever budget I can get. If that means $500,000, great. If that means $25 million, like it needs, then that's great too. But this movie will get made, even if it's a long-term haul. When Michael W. Dean asked if the eventual movie would have a happy ending, David responded by asking the host a question. "What do you think? You tell me." "I would guess and hope that it probably has a triumphant ending," Dean answered. "But it's the hero standing on a pile of bodies, some of them people he knew." "That's pretty close," David admitted. "That's pretty astute. I'm proud of you. There will be a pile of bodies. You won't know who's going to end up in that pile when you're watching it. A film has to follow convention. A film has to follow convention. It has to follow that storytelling formula. Otherwise, the story doesn't work. But once you know the rules, you can break the rules. And Gray State breaks the rules in that it's not only immediately physical, it's interdimensional. It's very layered. It's spiritual at times, without adhering to any sort of Western philosophy. But it's deep. It's taken me a long time to craft this story, and while it might not be a physically surface level happy ending, anyone who's paying attention will extract some real values from the ending. The Gray State trailer did not put David Crowley in debt. It's all paid for. We paid cash for everything. If Gray State takes off and starts to pay the bills, that'll be sweet. Otherwise, it would have to take a back burner while we make a living. David also explained the filming process for the movie trailer. We wanted to do it for real, but a lot of it was guerrilla, unfortunately. A lot of the scenes we did, it was like it had the real scale of a real production, so a lot of them, yes, we went to the city. We got permits. We hired cops to babysit for us for a few hours, and we did it for real. But a lot of the stuff was just guerrilla, just because we couldn't get a hold of the city liaison who does that stuff, or they didn't know what to do. It was only a 3-second shot anyways. So there's a couple things like that, but by and large, it was a real production. Minneapolis is a bitch to deal with, David continued. They want to charge you like $150 an hour, even if you're just a freelance photographer. The initial park scene we shot in guerrilla style, just real quick. But the St. Paul people, Twin Cities is Minneapolis and St. Paul, those guys are a delight to deal with. They'll give you a cop. They'll make all the communications for you, and they'll set it up for you. And all you gotta do is send them a check at the end of the day. During the interview, David Crowley was asked if he had made any enemies as a result of the Gray State project. I do know that I've already made a lot of enemies, Crowley responded, and that this was a long time ago actually. I made enemies just by releasing little bits and talking to people about my idea for this film, long before it was even released as a trailer. And I have made no shit enemies just because they don't want to hear it, and a lot of them have been family. Not my family, but I'm talking about other actors who've spoken to their family about it and people who don't want to hear it, and what they do is they assign like, well, that can't be real, so it's going to be a terrible movie, so I don't want to hear anything about it. But I wonder if they thought the same thing about Toy Story. Like, hey, toys don't talk. This movie sucks. So the negative reaction has largely been not reputable. So it's just been a lot of silly banter about, I'm a Zionist pig and don't support my film. Michael Dean also asked if Crowley had ever been contacted by a government agency. If I were contacted by a government agency, David responded, I would not know about it. So I can't really answer that question. I'm sure that I have been. A lot of the reactions I'm getting about the trailer, they want to peg me as some kind of Zionist Jew, I guess, because my name is David. I guess that's proof enough for them. My lead actor's name is Danny Mason. Oh, you mean like Freemasons? So they want to develop their own conspiracy theories. They want to say the whole film is COINTELPRO. I'm just trying to develop lists to put them on. It's all very, very silly. David also mentioned being accused of being a Marxist. Asked if he's a Christian, David responded, I am, but I don't know where to draw that line between what I've been taught my whole life and what is probably more closer to the truth, if that makes sense. I've done a lot of spiritual exploration. I tend to end at the same answers, though. David also addressed the critics and negative responses to his project. A lot of people say that Gray State is just fear porn, and they're not going to support it, and it's fear mongering and stuff like that. Just because Gray State is scary doesn't make it fear porn. Even though you may be killed resisting, the act of resistance on a metaphysical level has value. David Crowley, 2012.